The name Lucifer evokes a variety of different images, and the most widespread and common of which is that of Satan, also known as the devil, an angel who rebelled against God and fell from grace. This image of the devil as a figure who exists to tempt people into sin is a universal one that can be found in many different religions and worldviews. But in demonology, Lucifer stands in for one of the 7 deadly sins, the sin of pride. But did you know that the devil in the flesh was once God's favorite creation? There surely is a lot to know about the devil, so let's find out. The book of Revelation describes a war that took place in heaven between the angels. Those who lost would be expelled from heaven and forced to live on earth. This story has been interpreted in several ways. It mentions a great dragon, which some believe refers to Lucifer, the most beautiful of God's angels, but had an immense amount of pride, and it starts when Lucifer began to question his creator, the Almighty, and everything around him. He always considered himself different and above the other angels. As his paranoia deepened, he refused to accept the universe in its present form and came to believe that God himself was imperfect and that he was the only flawless creature left. He wasn't alone, as he managed to convince a third of the angels in heaven to join his cause. The first attack against God was made against his magnificent creation, humankind. Lucifer could never comprehend the concern God had for humans. To him, they were extremely flawed beings, and he would never bow down to such an inferior creation. He persuaded Archangel Samuel to take the shape of a serpent and seduce Eve to eat the forbidden fruit, leading to the expulsion of both Adam and Eve from the Garden of Eden. After that, Lucifer persuaded a third of the angels in heaven to join him in his rebellion against God, and when the time for war came, he transformed himself into a great dragon. Lucifer and the angels who desired change were positioned on one side. On the other side stood a much larger army, led by the Archangel Michael. The war would rage on for many years, but eventually Michael and the angels who sided with him and God would emerge as victors. All individuals who had allied themselves with this powerful dragon would have the same fulfillment when he was expelled from heaven: grace. There is also a story where Lucifer is cast from heaven and seeks revenge against God. After Adam and Eve were made, Lucifer lost his status as God's favorite being. So what better way to take revenge than to corrupt humans from the beginning? When God forbade Adam and Eve from ever tasting the fruit of the tree of knowledge, Lucifer, and not Satan, would disguise himself as a snake and tempt Eve into eating the fruit, and as a result, they would be expelled from Eden's garden. These stories can be quite confusing because some believe the serpent may have been the Archangel Samuel doing the bidding of Satan. Others argue the serpent was indeed Lucifer, as not only does he take the form of a dragon, but he's also referred to as the Old Serpent. It's never explained in any more detail, however, so it just comes down to how you interpret these scriptures and stories. In Hebrew, the king of Babylon is condemned in a vision of the prophet Isaiah and is called Halil ben Shahar, which means the son of morning or shining one. This was then translated by the Greeks and Romans to mean that morning star or light bringer, and this king would then become Lucifer. Ezekiel 2000 and 8:17 also mentioned this fall of Lucifer from heaven, how he aimed to place himself above God and take the throne for himself, but instead ended up in hell. Your heart was proud because of your beauty. You corrupted your wisdom for the sake of your splendor. I cast you to the ground. I exposed you before kings to feast their eyes on you. These passages show Lucifer as the fallen angel. It isn't until the account of the war in heaven in the book of Revelations that this fall is associated with Satan, and he said to them, I saw Satan for like lightning from heaven. There is no mention of a fallen angel or the morning star. It's Satan, or in Revelation, a dragon. Obviously, this transition results in a change in appearance. God's most beautiful creation, Lucifer, morning star, would have been a radiant being. However, Lucifer would appear more satanic as a result of his fall from grace and subsequent demonization. His once beautiful feathered wings would now have more of a bat-like webbed appearance. He had horns on top of his head, and his face was deformed and twisted. What once was beautiful then turned into something terrifying, with images of Satan not even close to having a human shape. More so, a demonic goat man with wings. With this transformation also came the association with evil warlocks and witches. Now, let's dive further into the hierarchy. There were 7 demons that were classified as the princes of hell, all of them associated with one of these 7 deadly sins. Lucifer, of course, represented the sin of pride. But there exists a much different take on Satan in a particular writing. At the very heart of hell, Satan, a huge demon with 3 faces and bat-like wings, is imprisoned in ice. He also reveals that Lucifer, a former name of Satan, was an angel of light. Satan, here, is a monstrous figure who is mute and immobile, and who is a slobbering mess. He is not the authority in hell. He lives there like a prisoner and is punished equally with everyone else. The Book of Revelations, the following literary work, does not explicitly state that Lucifer and Satan are the same person, but over time, writers and historians have expanded and enhanced this association between Lucifer and Satan. John Milton's epic poem, Paradise Lost, is perhaps one of the most well-known instances of this. This narrative follows the fall of mankind, and one particular angel, Milton Satan, who was also Lucifer. He refused to answer to the will of God, because angels were born and raised themselves. They had no mother and no father. Why then should God rule over them? It's better to reign in hell than serve in heaven. Milton's character is both cunning and charismatic. Even though Lucifer and his allies lost this battle and were expelled from heaven, he was still able to rule over hell with his allies, giving him the authority he so desperately craved. In a way, Milton presents Lucifer as a hero. Although it's fairly common to view Satan as being all wicked, Lucifer gives us a far more intriguing and approachable persona. He is by no means a guiding light or even a hero, as is frequently seen in fictional works today. However, there is a strange fascination with his tale. If we analyze Lucifer's downfall, we find that it mostly sprang from his desire to examine the nature of the universe and not to just follow the rules that had been established for him by others. According to the Bible, Lucifer's pride is the sin that causes him to turn wicked and meet his demise. However, if you approach the story in a less biblical way, as Milton does in Paradise Lost, it becomes clear that Lucifer is essentially asking himself a series of questions about the world he lives in, and coming to the conclusion that he doesn't want to be ruled by someone else who doesn't represent him or the other angels. You may counter that's because these stories' goals aren't the same. The biblical tales serve as a warning to people who would contest God's truth for their personal benefit. Milton's work, on the other hand, is an invitation to challenge a tyrannical role or status quo if it doesn't represent you or the people around you. So it all then depends on which side of the story you want to believe in. That being said, Lucifer is undoubtedly a fascinating character. Whether you think you can comprehend the motivations behind his actions, or you just think he's the devil, works like Paradise Lost and even the more recent Lucifer TV show at least ask the question, is he really that evil? The answer lies with you, something that we desperately want to hear. So let us know in the comments, and we'll see you next time.